Hi, and welcome to Commerce Consults with Logic.io, where Blake, our VP of Marketing, and our team of configuration experts break down the experience and usability of B2B e-commerce sites across multiple industries. Today, we're consulting Regal Rexnord, a global leader in motor manufacturing, originally founded in 1955. Now headquartered in Beloit, Wisconsin, Regal Rexnord's 10,000 plus employees service their customer base with four main business lines of climate solutions, commercial systems, industrial systems, and motor control systems, and brought in $4.8 billion in revenue. As a company that has stood the test of time, let's take a look at their current website with Logic.io co-founder and CEO Christopher Schetz to see if their customer experience and industry expertise is reflected in their online experience.
Okay, we are back with another Commerce Consult. Today we're looking at Regal Rexnord with our CEO and co-founder, Chris Schetz. Chris, thanks for joining us again here. Chris, as usual, we'll start at the homepage here. Why don't you just kind of walk us through, when you land on their homepage, how easy is it as a buyer for you to find the products that you're looking for and take you down a path that makes it easy to buy?
Yeah. Hi, Blake. I think it's, Regal Rexnord is a very interesting company. They have a lot of cool products. I think it's a very challenging product portfolio to show clearly to your customers, just because they sell so many different products, and those products range from, off the shelf pre-configured components like couplings up to, highly configured drives and drive systems and things. The navigation of the website, I think, has a lot of challenges, which we'll go through. They do lay out the kind of the major product categories here, which is great. If you select one of them here, couplings, it's, basically it's a dead end in a lot of ways. And what they're doing is they immediately are presenting you with brands, which, as a buyer, I have an application or requirement. I'm not shopping necessarily for a brand. I'm shopping to see if they have a product that can meet my requirements. So I definitely would not lead with brands. And then they have some product feature text here to kind of say, do I need elastomeric, a disc, a U-joint, gear-driven coupling? But there's no relationship to tell me which of these are available at any of these brands. So it's essentially an Easter egg hunt that they're presenting, to their customers, which I think is a challenge and a pretty big opportunity for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of interesting, right? If you go to a product or a product page or a product family page like this, you kind of expect to get the catalog with the ability to actually look at the products and try to figure out what fits your requirements. So calling out to specific brands might be challenging. So what does actually happen when you go and click on one of those distributors? Is that where it's instructing you how to buy? Is this site helping you do that?
It's not. In fact, it takes you to another website with a different domain for Rexnord for that brand, and then it immediately jumps you to find a distributor. And again, we still haven't discovered if there's a product fit for, my application or not. I was able to eventually drill in far enough to get to a point for the Rexnord brand and let's just say we're still looking for a coupling. And I did find this, it was a challenge to get to here. But this is interesting where they've done a pretty good job of kind of laying out, for this application, what are my power, speed, and then I think it auto selects the torque here eventually, so it sort of forces you into a torque rating, which I think is interesting. But from here, then you can put in some parameters, and I did a few minutes ago. I put in 5 horsepower, 1200 RPM for the speed, and then some shaft input, output, driver and driven diameters, and then a gap between the two. And they do a good job of kind of identifying what each of these is. So I think this is actually a pretty well done piece of it. And then you can select, and so the system's obviously crunching here to try to find what couplings might work. And it's quite a long wait here to see what would be a good, coupling for a particular, application. And in this particular case, actually, I didn't get anything, nothing came back. I got 0 results in the system after that. And I'm not sure why. I don't know what I did wrong, or I don't know, if maybe I can tighten up the shaft gap here a little bit. It's not letting me select it now for some reason. So I think there's a lot of challenge here as far as navigating this large catalog of components they have and actually finding a particular component, for my need.
That's definitely a bit of a frustrating experience, right? Especially if you're waiting we waited 10 seconds for it to crunch at least, and then you get, put to a page where there's no results and no reasoning, like you said, right? You don't even know what you need to fix in order to get to the right spot. So
Yep.
sounds like some more guidance and messaging and things like that would be helpful, as well as the kind of performance aspect here for sure.
Yeah. I was able to get some results when I tried this a couple of days ago, and I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong today. So clearly there's, an opportunity to guide the users. And if you don't have a product that fits, at least inform them of what product actually might work. It looks like maybe I left the service factor out. So that would be something they probably should have just force set to 1 or prompted me to, fill it out in that particular case. So with that one change, I did get some results. And then I think you can select these and actually then go through a configuration experience, which has some diagrams and things that you can select to line up your keyways and things. The problem with this configuration experience, actually, you just saw it there. So virtually every one of these selections is doing a full page refresh, which, if you want to consumerize the buying experience of a product configurator, you'd want to do a partial page refresh. And then obviously, speed up the performance so fast, like we do at Logic IO, where we update our pages in 100 milliseconds or less. The users don't even see the configuration updating, and you can keep moving along. What they're doing here is they're actually dynamically filtering. So this is every time you got to scroll back to where you were. They're dynamically filtering these options based on the inputs of the selections that I've done upstream. And so it's another case where just from a interactability, usability standpoint, you would never do a full page refresh like that.
Yeah. One thing I'm looking at here, where in that product type field, right, where it's just kind of that combination of, letters and numbers up there, is that something that like an educated buyer would understand there, or is that, in that product type field, or is there a better way to go and approach that type of thing, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, and here, if I'm shopping between different coupling suppliers, I wouldn't know what these model designations mean. I wouldn't know what these product types mean. I don't know what the difference between an RLS 71 or an R71 or a 71C.
Right.
There's nothing that guides me along there to tell me which one I need. And so what I think Regal Rexnord's doing is they're pulling, raw manufacturing ERP data out of their system and then projecting it out on the web. And it's terminology that they obviously understand internally, but I don't think any buyer would have a good feel for that at all. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's kind of the output of this configuration here, Chris, as you make your way through it?
Yeah. So, I try to go next, and it tells me that the nominal bore field is required. So we'll put a field in there. And it takes me to a summary page of what I inputted, and then you can then put in your email and then, and then request a quote. And I think when I submitted this about a week ago, I don't think anyone followed up with me, with a quote for the product. So this is clearly, there's no pricing here. There's no delivery. So we're not sure when we can get this, but this is clearly a prime example of where I think a lot of a lot of folks, speccing engineers, design engineers, manufacturing engineers that are using this website, they would want to go ahead and transact and get this component on order immediately.
Right.
Or at least at this point be guided to a local distributor that would have something like this in stock, or even this component in stock, so they could go ahead and finish the transaction.
Yeah, you'd think, especially, that was a pretty lengthy configuration experience, right? We went through multiple pages, multiple different, multiple options there, multiple selections. And you kind of, once as a buyer for, especially in consumerized experiences, you'd kind of expect the output of that to be a price or at least a range or something like that, if not the ability to directly transact, like you said. So interesting that they're kind of making you wait there.
For sure. Yeah. And then just to kind of wrap up, I think the challenge they have is they do have a very large product portfolio. So I think it's a challenging business to manage in that respect. The other thing I noticed with Regal Rexnord is that as you go into every product category has a dramatically different navigation format to it. So we were just drilling down into couplings, and it took us a while to get there. But then if you back out and go to the homepage like I just did, and then go into a different area like drives, the site navigation is completely different. And so I think that's confusing. And then they're immediately mixing application criteria and brands. So the first thing that it's asking me is, go to the Leeson homepage. Well, I don't even know if Leeson makes the type of like VFD drive that I might need, for a pump application or something. I have no idea if they make it. And I think they're still struggling with this concept of finding a product and then intermingling it with a brand message, which I think is confusing.
Yeah. And then one last thing, Chris, that I remember seeing when I took a look too, if you go to that request a quote item on the left there within that kind of explore section, it kind of takes you to this screen here where you're being kind of forced to go put in a catalog number and part number and on your own, right? So to actually request a quote here, the burden is on the buyer, it feels like, to actually do this, which is interesting.
Right. So they're basically teeing up like an ERP order screen here,
right,
that they can then take behind the scenes and process and generate a list price or a standard discounted price, and then send it back. So at this point, you may as well let your customer transact if you're going to essentially have them enter catalog numbers.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, for taking us through here with Regal Rexnord. I think a lot of good takeaways on, a lot of good elements of what they do. And like you mentioned, it's a difficult business with a lot of products to try to figure out. So thanks for walking us through this. Thanks for the consult. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks, Blake. Have a good day.